Welcome to Focus. This segment is an opportunity for us to focus on what matters with people, places, and things. I'm your photographer, Darrell Everidge. And on today's episode of Focus, I'm talking to Greg Thompson, former mayor and proprietor of John's Supermarket. Thank you so much, Greg, for speaking with us today.
Thank you for coming down.
As former mayor, what specific experiences or accomplishments do you believe make you a well-suited role for the city council?
Well, I just think putting in the time for the last 18 years and just, it's a learn by doing experience. And, each thing is different and each situation is different. But, it gives me a well-rounded perspective of how city governments run. It puts me in contact with a lot of state leaders. And, I just think it's a great experience to have.
And you were mayor for a number of years here in the city. What made you want to transition after you've stepped away from the mayor's office to go into the city council?
Well, I still like the way that the city is moving forward, continuing that destination point, and, it took a long time to get here. I've had 6 years out just to kind of rekindle my brain, refresh it and everything. And I love local politics. And, I'm not coming in to reinvent the wheel. I just want to be there to support the mayor and the council and keep the projects going that come in. And, I don't have an agenda. I just want to support the citizens of Monroe like we did in the last time I was in office. And, I love it.
What do you see as some of the key issues facing our city?
Well, there's always going to be, police department pay, fire department pay, public safety. That's we've got one of the best police departments and fire departments in the state. And I really believe, because I was there in the beginning when it wasn't so good, we're not on the news every night with a shooting or, race relations or anything like that. Our officers and our fire department, they buy into the city, and they treat people the way they're supposed to be treated. Now, there may be incidences that's not the case with everybody, but all in all, 99% of the time, our officers are great for this city, and you just don't hear of hardly anything going on.
How do you envision collaborating with the other council members if you get elected?
Well, I know most of the council members, so, that's not going to be a hard thing to do. I enjoy their dedication to the city and the time they put into it. So communication is not going to be a problem.
Can you share some of the specific projects or incentives that you would like to focus on if you're elected?
Well, a lot of them have already been built out or in the process of what we started several years ago, but I still want to keep an eye on the truck connector. It was a bypass, and I think it's called a connector now because it's only 2 lanes. And that's taken forever. I know the state's got it, and I know it's underway, but, anything I can do to kind of help contact our state representatives to help DOT get on the right track a little quicker. That's one project that I would like to do. And another project that I would like to see done, and it's going to be a collaboration between city, county, or whoever can put some skin in the game, and maybe even state or federal, is in my newspaper article I said I wanted to look into a homeless shelter. It's not really a homeless shelter, it's more of like an emergency shelter where, if a family gets displaced or there's some domestic violence in the home, where do these people go just at a drop of a hat? We don't have a place that folks can come in for, 20 or 30 days and so they can get reestablished and find out where they can go live. Can it be done? I think so. I've already heard from a couple of people saying we don't want a homeless shelter, and I'm not an advocate for a homeless shelter because I don't want government supporting people that can stand up on their own. I'm more of an advocate for a emergency type shelter to, things happen. and things happen when it's not people's fault. And you just, one day you got a house and one day you got to leave. And that's just something I'm looking at, and I'm hoping that we can get something like that done.
In your opinion, what role does transparency and accountability play in local government?
Well, you got to be transparent. I mean, folks are spending their money in taxes, and they want to know what they're getting for their tax money. And a lot of it's unseen. You're paying your police department, fire department. You've got infrastructure that gets your power and water to your house that you don't think about when you go in and flip the light switch that hey, it still works. Roads, there's a whole lot of money being spent, and unfortunately it's got to come from somewhere. But as I stated before, I rolled the millage rate back every year I was in office, and proud to say that. But that's just because of the continued growth we've been having, and want to continue to see that growth in the right direction. Don't want to be Conyers, don't want to be nothing like that to where you can't even ride on the road, but we still need growth in the city, and we've got the opportunity to get the right kind of growth.
Do you think that Monroe has been growing too fast?
I think Monroe has handled the growth well. I mean, there's some areas in the city that we need to concentrate on trying to get traffic in and out of certain situations like downtown, and that's being dealt with. But there's a few more areas that we could concentrate on trying to get some traffic movement in some other places to help alleviate some of the traffic jams.
How do you plan to engage and involve community members in the decision-making process?
Well, that's a hard thing. Folks love to talk and complain about what they don't want to see and what they'd like to have happen. But when you ask them to engage, it's kind of like, well, I don't have time. But I love community involvement. The more community involvement we have, and it's better off for everybody.
As former mayor, what lessons or insights have you gained that you believe will be valuable in your work in the city council?
I think the biggest lesson I've learned is just to listen to people. That sometimes it's not easy to do when they're telling you what you're doing wrong. But I like to listen to people and try to hear them out the best they can, and then try to talk about it and figure out what's the best solution. It may not be the solution you want, but it could be a meeting in the middle of somewhere. If it can be done, we can do it.
I've talked to some people, and they've reached out about affordable housing for the city. What's your stand on that?
Oh, I'd love to see houses cost under $100,000, but that's just not going to happen. And unfortunately, that's in the private sector. The city doesn't have any say-so or anything about how much a house costs. It's just, that's just one of those unfortunate things. I would hate to be trying to buy a house right now in today's market with the interest rate and how much things have gone up. I don't see how it can continue to go up. It's got to come down at some point in time. But, there's just so much local government can do. And the housing market is not one of those things that the government can get involved in too much. And you've got some state housing here in the city of Monroe, but it's a controlled rent, and I know there's other programs here again which are state or federal owned or run that can help with housing. But as far as the cost of a house, unfortunately that's just the way our economy is right now.
What about the special events that goes on in town and the parking issue that people seem to complain about all the time on social media? Is there a way for the city to alleviate some of that parking problems?
Well, the city's got a lot of parking around. Unfortunately, you may have to walk a little bit. Walking's good for you, but there designated city-owned parking places. It may be 2 blocks from the venue. But, I see a lot of people out walking nowadays, so, it's great exercise. But, I agree. I don't think you can build enough parking spaces for the venues that we have. Just come early and stay late.
And what would you like to convey to the voters out there? Just say whatever you'd like to say.
Well, you know, I've got 18 years experience in local government. I love it. Just would love to be reelected and work with the mayor and the city council and the city staff to continue our spot to be a destination city. It's taken a long time to get there, and as you can see, we do have some traffic issues. A lot of it's good and some of it's bad, but that means folks want to come to the city of Monroe and spend their money for tax dollars that we can use to help better our city.
Well, thank you, Greg, for sitting down with us today and talking about this.
I certainly appreciate you. I really do.